YSL Y Elixir is a 2024 release and it's one of the latest additions to one of the world's most mass appealing men's fragrance lines, Y. YEDP is a great versatile compliment getter and I think YEDP Intense from last year is a great release. But what do I think of the new Y Elixir? I think it's the first time I see oud in any of their sort of a designer line, but I do know there are some fragrances in their more exclusive line with oud. I bought Y Elixir, I worn it on and off for about 2 weeks and I want to share my thoughts on it. So looking at the notes, it's definitely a simple affair. So what does Y Elixir smell like? As soon as I spray it on, I get a big dose of that lavender and geranium mix. The lavender brings it this classic aromatic brightness and shine. Lavender and geranium is one of my favorite combos, so I'm enjoying the opening for sure, even though it does smell a bit familiar. It's also a bit disappointing in that this is a too familiar kind of opening. It reminds me of the EDP, but more aromatically amped up and focused on lavender. Even though it does feel familiar, and even though I'm a bit disappointed in how familiar it smells like, I gotta say it smells nice. If you're a bit like me in that you really enjoy lavender, then you'll most likely enjoy the opening of Y Elixir. I also feel there's some depth to that lavender geranium combo with a slight hint of something sort of a soapy and a floral touch. Now when I say a slight hint of something soapy and a floral touch, I mean exactly that. This to me is not a strong soapy scent and it's not a floral scent, but there are hints of that in the opening. As it heads into the mids, and this does not take long, its woodiness comes in, and to me it's quite a light kind of woodiness. It's not the heavy kind of woodiness as the cedar in YEDP Intense, but it's also not, at least to me, not a classic kind of oud scent. It feels very light and I was expecting something a bit more prominent. The mid smells good, but this is where I'm just waiting for the oud to fully come through. The full dry down is definitely a lot more interesting than the mids, as it feels like its woodiness finally cuts through in a more prominent way. But even though it's more noticeable, it's still not that prominent. It's not an intense kind of woodiness, it's quite soft actually, and once again I get something woody-ish, but not something I feel is sort of a classic oudie. The dry down to me is primarily soft woody with the lavender still sort of lingering around, although much softer, and there's this sort of a soft amber feel to it all. The dry down shifts a bit from wearing to wearing, and sometimes it's slightly more soapy and sometimes slightly more woody. So in a nutshell, what you're getting in the dry down is something soft woody with a bit of lavender and everything being a bit ambery. It does smell good, but again, kind of familiar and almost a bit too familiar and a bit too discreet. When I saw the notes, I was almost sure YSL would do oud in the most smooth, mass appealing and easy to wear way possible, because that's pretty much what YSL does. But this is not what I expected at all. I was expecting to smell oud in some kind of prominent way, but I just don't. So it smells nice, but where's the precious oud of natural origin they claim in the description, and why is it so expensive? Drop a like on this video and comment if you would like me to do a comparison of Y Elixir and at least like YEDP and YEDP Intense. But right now, YEDP Intense is more woody with a different kind of woodiness, and YEDP has that fun mix of spices, woodiness, aromaticness and fruitiness. So more full of energy and nuances than Y Elixir. I also feel that both the EDP and EDP Intense are more woody than this. Y Elixir is in a way like a stripped down version of the EDP with a different kind of woodiness and with a lavender intense opening. And Y Elixir is a scent I feel lacks a bit of depth. So how do I feel when I wear Y Elixir? YEDP is this mix of playfulness, sexiness and something classy. YEDP Intense and its smoother blend feels more classy and mature with a bit of sexiness. And Y Elixir is definitely something that's more on the classy and elegant side than anything else. So what about compliments and reactions from others? During my first 2 weeks with this, I landed one compliment, and that was after spraying quite a bit. I think it's a mass appealing scent that a lot of people will enjoy getting a whiff of, but only if they get closer to you or if you spray a lot. I don't think its mass appeal is on the same level as YEDP and YEDP Intense though. So what about performance? Performance is a bit above average but not strong, at least based on my wearing so far. It feels like I need to spray more of Y Elixir than both the EDP and EDP intense. Longevity is decent, but I don't think it lasts that long on my skin. And longevity is max like 5 hours or so on my skin, with a very soft projection after a few hours. So when should you use Y Elixir? YSL Y Elixir is primarily a soft woody scent with an intense dose of lavender, and the whole thing is more on the lighter side of things. This is something you can wear throughout the year for sure, and the same thing goes for occasions. You can wear this to pretty much any occasion. While a lot of people would think you smell good with it on, I would suggest something else when going on a date. Something with a bit more punch to it and a bigger dose of sexiness. So who's this fragrance for? Avoid blind buying and try first if you can. If you look at the notes, you might be a bit like me in that you expect this to be something it's not. I looked at the notes, saw oud and got really excited, and even though I knew this would be oud done the sort of a YSL way, I did not expect this. If you enjoy soft woody scents with a prominent dose of lavender, then this might be something for you. But you have quite a few alternatives in that area that are also cheaper. Avoid if you only buy strong fragrances, and if you are looking for something that's very, very unique, because at least I don't think this is either. If you are looking for like a powerful, charismatic dose of oud with a lot of sort of personality, then this is not that. What are some of the alternatives to Y Elixir? There are so many woody scents that are aromatic to choose from, but an obvious alternative is of course YEDP. It doesn't have the lavender intense opening of Y Elixir, but it's a more busy scent with spiciness, woodiness and fruitiness. I've recommended YEDP so much, and this thing is so versatile, and it's a complement that just works. For a different kind of woodiness, there's YEDP intense, which is a lot smoother than YEDP and without YEDP's fruitiness. YEDP intense is also more woody. For fantastic, versatile and extremely mass appealing woody and aromatic scent, there's Ralph Lauren Raf's Club Parfum. Raf's Club Parfum actually sort of goes in the same line as the YSL Y line, and I believe it's the very same perfumer behind Raf's Club Parfum as Y Elixir, YEDP and YEDP Intense. I could go on and on because the combo of woodiness and lavender is quite common, but these are alternatives that are not the same. But they all smell good and are sort of in the same area. And they are also more affordable. Let's talk about price. This thing sits at around 180 bucks for 60 ml, which is the highest I ever seen a white fragrance. It also pushes this line closer to the prices for 75 ml of YSL's own Lavester de Parfums line. That line is their sort of an exclusive one, and now the Y line is closer to it. I don't like the high price, and I also find it very strange they push this so close to their exclusive line. Why buy this when you can go up a bit and get something that's both more sort of exclusive and unique? So how am I going to rate YSL Y Elixir? YSL Y Elixir is, at least to me, a lavender intense scent that's woody in quite a soft and light kind of way. When I saw oud in the ingredients, I instantly knew it would be oud done the YSL way, so I knew it wouldn't be oud intense. But I did not expect the oud to be this light and discreet. When you push something as an elixir with, according to YSL, exclusive high quality ingredients, I do expect something that actually stands out. This does not stand out. It smells nice, but the star of Y Elixir is the lavender and not the oud. And the lavender, while being nuanced and intense, is not something I think justifies that $180 price tag. So I was expecting something more. What I bought is something nice, but Y Elixir is not something I feel is fantastic or unique. I will be enjoying Y Elixir for sure, but this is not a masterpiece. I'm going to give YSL Y Elixir a 6. It's not bad, and I do think that most people will think it smells nice. But my thoughts on this is that you are not buying an oud scent here. You're basically buying an aromatic intense fragrance with lavender. And if you want that, there are a lot of alternatives out there. So what would have made me rate Y Elixir higher? When I thought about what would have made me rate Y Elixir higher, my first thought went to what I feel is stated but in a way missing the oud. Keeping in mind that YSL does things extremely likable, easy to wear and mass appealing, I still feel there's room to push the oud to make it pop in a more sort of a noticeable and charismatic way. I don't think the lavender needs changing. I like lavender and I like this. But the oud should have been the centerpiece with a lot more personality to it, while still having that YSL likability factor to it. Another direction could have been to do a fusion of the lavender in YSL Y Elixir with the flora aspect from YSL myself, with a more noticeable dose of oud. Last but not least, an idea that wouldn't be as mass appealing as the other ones in the YSL line. But how about a refreshing take on that classic oud and rose combo, but with an aromatic pop to it? Take what YSL does so good with the aromatic side of things, add a smooth but prominent dose of oud to it with a sweet and very likable rose to it. So I would absolutely love to know how you feel about YSL Y Elixir and how you would rate it from 1 to 10, so make sure you comment. Like this video, I really appreciate it. Make sure you hit that subscribe, make sure you hit that notification bell, make sure you check out the videos over there, and I'll see you in the next one.